Hey everybody, welcome to Pride Adventure Podcast. I'm Chris Smith. I'm your host of the podcast. This is our first episode. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about having Jim Hladysh with us today. Jim has been on a bunch of trips, and we're going to get to know Jim as one of our members and one of our travelers and just ask a few questions and get to know each other. So, Jim, I just said your name, but one of the things I get when we're on like our California Gay Adventures hikes and stuff is people are Jim. What's his last name? Because I know on Facebook you use Benjamin, but what is your name?
It's Jim Hladysh. The H is silent, so it's Hladysh. But like you said, I also go by Jim Benjamin on my main Facebook.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Hladysh. So you don't even say the
so
H at all. Oh,
Hladysh.
Hladysh.
Yeah,
That's great. That's awesome.
silent
And
H.
where do you live?
I live in Simi Valley.
And Simi
Or
Valley
I
is
do.
in the North Valley kind of area.
It's just the start of Ventura County, just on the other side of Chatsworth.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. One thing that I always ask is how you found out about Pride Adventure Travel. Can you tell us a little bit of the story of how you got involved?
What had happened was we were confined in with COVID, and I was really anxious to get out and do hiking and all sorts of things. And I started Googling places, and CGA came up. And so I went on my first trip with CGA to La Paz, and I was
That
hooked.
was the first one you did?
That was my very first trip. But I did do a hike first up to the Hollywood sign and the wisdom tree. So
Yeah, I
right before we
remember
went on
that
the
La
trip.
Paz trip. Yeah, totally. We'll share some like pictures and stuff of it while we're talking about that trip because that was pretty cool. You remember we went out and we're swimming with the whale sharks and all of that?
That was my favorite part, with those whale sharks. And then we got to pet the big gray whales that were migrating through.
So
I
that
had such
had
an
to have
incredible
been
time.
what, 2020 or 2021?
It
Probably.
was around that time period. I'm not sure. Really, I had such a good time, and then I've just been enjoying the journey ever since.
Yeah, to give those that don't know the difference between California Gay Adventures, CGA, Pride Adventure, and Pride Adventure Travel, I'm actually the founder of California Gay Adventures. We're a hiking social organization where we do hikes and sometimes we go bowling and we do camping trips and we do weekend adventures like we've been to Oregon, we rent cabins and go skiing. And we also do international trips where we've gone to La Paz, Peru. Like we're going to talk about that in a minute because he's got his shirt on from our last trip. So that's CGA. Pride Adventure Travel is my travel company that I started basically because of all of this. I was so inspired on building a community and going places together. It's pretty cool. I'm not going to just speak for myself, Jim. I'm going to let you speak. What kind of drew you to, other than going to La Paz and going on a hike, what was the experience like? What made you want to do more?
I really enjoyed all the people that I met. I was a little nervous the first time I had my first roommate. And ever since then, I've been on a whole bunch of trips, but every single roommate has become a good friend. And I meet incredible people on these trips. And a lot of them I feel like are like family. They go on regular trips, and we look forward to the holiday parties and hiking and just socializing with them even outside of these trips. I'd really become really good friends with a lot of people.
So it's, yeah, that's an interesting way of saying it because I think that's pretty cool. In my mind, I look like big picture, like we're creating a community, but in a sense, you're also creating kind of these micro communities where you have a certain people that you really get to know, whether they're a roommate on a weekend adventure, renting a cabin somewhere, or on a big trip, or someone you're seeing on a regular basis on hikes and things like that. So you're building those people on a regular basis. Have you had experiences with some of the members outside of CGA events, become friends with people?
Absolutely. In fact, when we went to Costa Rica, we were there was a crossover trip, and I met a couple of guys just for one night while we were in Costa Rica. And then after that, they were such good guys that I ended up rooming with one when we went to the Asia trip. And really
Oh
became
yeah, that's
good
right.
friends.
So
Yeah.
yeah, when we went to Costa Rica, we did two segments. So we had a first week and a second week segment. And I know that you were on the second week segment, and the first week segment, people were like leaving and you were joining. Some people did the whole thing. So that must have been that situation.
Yeah. And so then we went to Asia.
And we could say names. Wasn't it Randy?
Uh, Randy, yes. And in fact, he is having a birthday, and he is going to Puerto Vallarta. So I'm going with him his first time to Puerto Vallarta. in 2 weeks just for Tuesday to Thursday, just for a little trip
That's
for
gonna
his
be
first
fun.
time in Puerto Vallarta. And then we're going again with the CGA group in May.
Yeah,
So we're
for
excited
Puerto
about
Vallarta
it.
Pride, Memorial Day weekend. And speaking of Costa Rica, I'm wearing my Costa Rica shirt from 2023, so you can see down here.
Yeah.
So
And I'm going this year again, but I'm going last time I went to the Caribbean side and I saw how much fun you guys had on the Pacific side. So I had to go back and experience that side, which I'm looking forward to in April.
tell us about the Caribbean trip. Did you what I can tell what we did, but I'd love to hear it from you. What did we do and what stood out for it?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. Gosh, my highlights were the river rafting. It was just absolutely amazing. Just river rafting through the jungle and doing the zip lining and the waterfall descents and waterfall rappelling. Beautiful. My biggest goal was to see the sloths. And our first day, we were like little kids in a candy store when we saw that first sloth. And then by the end of the trip, we'd seen so many of them that the bus driver was like, "Oh, there's a sloth. Want me to pull over?" We're like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, and that's
We
great
saw it
because
doesn't.
I have now been to Costa Rica, I think it's 5 times, and when you're in the Manuel Antonio area, La Fortuna, it's great, it's beautiful, we have a lot of great experiences, but, that sloth sighting is rare, and you went up in the tree and you barely see it, but it was a neat experience. When we went to the Caribbean side, I I think we saw 20. Do you remember the one that was at the hotel that was
That
literally
was
just
the first
right in
one.
front of us? He was just literally just hanging out. That was so cool.
Right above us by the pool.
So if anybody has an opportunity to go to the Caribbean side of Puerto Viejo is where we were at, and we were just south of that into some areas. We stayed at a beautiful hotel. It was just so nice. It was almost like you're walking through the jungle to get to your room. It was really neat. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was prepping for the trip. When I tell people I'm going to Costa Rica, they'd say, "Purvita." I'm like, "What
Pura
the hell?
vida.
What the hell
Yes.
is that?" By the end of the trip, you exactly know what
You
Purvita
know what
is.
it is. Yeah. Absolutely. That's awesome. Tell me about what you're looking forward to in the future.
I'm like, I'm looking forward to going to Iceland. That is a place that wasn't on my radar, so I'm actually very excited about it because it's some I've been reading up a lot about it, and it just looks pretty amazing. And then I've heard a lot of good stories, and we ran into those people from Iceland on our trip to Peru, and they seem like really nice people.
Oh, that was really fun. We were in Peru, we did the whole Machu Picchu thing, and then afterwards we did like an extension, if you will. And a bunch of us, about 12 of us out of the whole like 28 person group, went to a small area in the Amazon, in the Peruvian Amazon, and we stayed at this eco lodge where we had to take a boat like miles and miles to go to this place, which was epic. And when we were there was this group of people that were all Icelandic people. They were speaking Icelandic. I could tell from the movie with Will Ferrell what they were speaking, which was pretty cool. And then we started talking to them, and they were so nice. And they were
Yes,
talking about pride and how pride, which we're going for this
we're
year,
going.
how
Yes.
pride is the event that Icelandic people look forward to. It's not just a gay event, but it of course is celebrating gay people, which is amazing.
Yeah,
So
so I'm very much looking forward to that, and I just can't wait to experience it.
yeah, you might have to actually wear some sleeves on that trip.
I know. I do have them.
Yes, we're gonna have to get everybody to make sure they have their coats, even though we're going in August. There's gonna be those cold moments. We're gonna be walking on glaciers. It's gonna be an epic trip.
I was able to handle it in Alaska.
Oh yeah, we went to Alaska. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it might be similar to that. So what I want to do is switch to for a few minutes and talk about. So we talked about the trips. We have a lot of stuff going on. Obviously,
Mhm.
there's tons of gay travel companies out there. They're great for everybody. One thing that I'm really proud of is the community we've built within California Gay Adventures, and now going into Pride Adventure Travel with all of the trips that I'm planning. So I'm really proud of that, and I really want to maintain that even as we grow and we have more trips. What I'd love to ask you is, you talked about community, but how would you describe the atmosphere or vibe, if you will, when you're on the trips?
I would say everyone is really excited about the trip and just there's just a really good attitude and everyone pretty much likes to adventure, travel, and we're all on the same wavelength for the most part, almost everyone. and it's a really good sense of community. And I feel very safe traveling with such a good group of guys. And like my mother, when I tell her I'm going on trips, she doesn't worry about me as much because she knows I'm with a big group of guys and not going with just one or two other people. And I feel very safe
So like
with like,
safe, security, feeling like you're with like-minded people. So that's
yes,
just like a big part of it. And I did catch that there where it is most of the people you get along with, and that's going to be normal.
it's been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. So let me look at my questions here. I did ask about if you've made any lasting friendships and connections. You already mentioned that. You mentioned
Oh,
Randy, which is a good example, and there's probably several other people that you've connected with and been able to do other things with as well.
yeah, a bunch of people. And I look forward to seeing them when we do even the day stuff or the hikes or when we go to the beach. I get to see a lot of those same people, and it's very exciting. And we do plan stuff every once in a while outside of the travel events.
Something that I want to just ask you a little bit about is future and not necessarily what we have planned, but do you have a wish list of places you want to go or what or do you just pick and choose based on what's thrown out there?
I have to say, you do some very good selecting. So I've been very fortunate to have been able to go to a lot of places that were on my radar with you. I would like to go to Greece. It's probably one of my that's probably like the ultimate one. I'd like to go to Australia, New Zealand. I want to go to Puerto Rico, a smaller trip. The problem with me is there's so many places I want to go to,
Of course.
but that's why I love when you like pick them, there's always multiple ones that I want to do.
I can tell you that I am already working way ahead, of course, you know me, on a New Zealand, Australia trip for the future. It's not in 2025 or 2026, but potentially in 2027 we'll be doing that. And I'm looking at possibly doing it around my birthday time, which is Mardi Gras time, which is a great time to go. Like when we're going for Pride. In
Yeah.
2026, one of the trips we're going to that I think that you may be interested in is when we go to France. We're flying into Geneva and go into a town called Chamonix, which is in France. And then we're checking out all the French Alps and the Swiss Alps and walking around those areas, which is just absolutely gorgeous. After that, we're doing World Pride in Amsterdam. And
Uh,
then and then heading out to Eastern Europe. This isn't all one trip. This is a series of 3 trips that people could do the whole thing, but they probably won't. And then after that, we're going to Eastern Europe, which is Berlin, Prague, Austria, and Budapest.
I'm definitely interested.
I'm
For
not
sure.
trying to sell you right on the spot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so as far as the last thing I just want to say is how has Pride Adventure Travel and CGA been different from your past travel experiences, whether it was with friends or a partner or just on your own?
The main thing is that I'm going with a big group of people, and I feel like a strong sense of security and a bonding that I'm making with so many different people. And, and everything is already planned. I wake up and you have it all planned out. It's at what time do we get up tomorrow? We just jump on the bus. And so if we happen to go out and drink a little bit too much or stay on a little bit too late, we just get on the bus and go to sleep. And then we wake up and we're at our destination and gotta go from there. Everything's very well planned out. It's
So
just
if anybody comes and travels with us and they meet Jim, I do want to say something about Jim because he just said it right there, is that anytime we get in a vehicle, he is asleep within 2.3 seconds. Like this guy can go to sleep like on a dime, and other people are like, "Wow, that's amazing." So that's pretty cool, actually. I think it's a superpower that you have.
I like to be awake for the good stuff and sleep in the downtime.
Exactly. When you're on a bus, might as well take a
Yeah.
nap. I love it. So the last question I want to ask is if anybody's watching this, they've just been on the fence. They maybe even have joined CGA. But they just haven't come out. They haven't gone to an event. They haven't gone on a trip. They haven't done that. And typically it's because there's just a little bit afraid. They don't know what to expect. I think everything we just said kind of shares why they should. But is there a message that you would say to somebody like that to try to get them to come out?
Put down that deposit. And I mean, this is the way it is for me. I put down the deposit. Once I put down the deposit, then I just make payments. And then all of a sudden wow, it's already paid off. Then it's already here. And I'm so excited I get to go. And I like to have another trip planned so that I always have something to look forward to because I'm just so excited. Once I get back from one, I'm ready to go on another one.
That's awesome. I really appreciate you, Jim. I appreciate everything
I
you
do want to show
contributed.
you my jacket.
Okay.
Okay, I know you've seen this, but I've been collecting these patches from our trips, and I have Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and it's gotten to the point where every time I go, everyone knows I'm looking for these patches. They're like, and this was our last one to Machu Picchu. So proud of that. After
Jim,
it's
I
been
can
fun
tell you
collecting
something right
these.
now. You inspired me. So
So
you came to our first Pride Adventure Travel launch party, right?
yes,
And you
absolutely.
got the patch that we
Yes, I
had put
did, and
together.
I'm gonna actually put that on here. I
Guess
just
what?
yeah, what?
We're going to create patches for each event now. So I've
Oh,
got the Costa Rica patch is now on its way and it's being delivered. It's supposed to be a
oh my gosh.
surprise, but I'm going to tell you anyways because you brought that up.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, so we're
And
going to
then
have a
one for Iceland
special
too?
patch for every trip, and it'll have a little flair of gay and a little, maybe our logo or a little special piece in it. Like this one right here, this is our Costa Rica. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
go up a little bit. So if you
Oh,
can see it, do you remember?
yes.
And then I don't think you were with us on the Manuel Antonio part because you're going to do that this time. But there's a fruit or something down here. I don't know where it is. It's right there. So there's a story behind that, and I'm going
Oh,
to take a little extra time to share it because I don't know
oh,
if you heard it. So when we were there, there is a beach. I can't remember the name, but if you look at in Manuel Antonio, you see a beach where there's two beaches that kind of come together, and it makes it this beautiful peninsula. Do not eat the fruits off the tree. We had one of our members who shall not be named. We were sitting on the beach and he asked if we could eat it. And I will never give advice again on if I don't know it. I said, I don't know. It looks like a lime or something. And so he took a bite of it and then he saw the sign. And the sign said, do not eat these fruits. You may die. And so he proceeded, get everything out that he could. He didn't eat enough to kill him. And then he went and had a bunch of food and everything. But it was a moment, let's just say. All of us were on the beach and he had his moment. These things do happen on our trips. Luckily, it was not severe. There was nothing that actually really happened, but we created an homage to him in our shirts.
huh. No, I did hear the story because I arrived after that, so I heard all about it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this was a very successful first episode of
Okay.
Pride Adventure Podcast with your host, Chris Smith, and our
Yes.
guest, Jim Hladysh.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I really appreciate it.
Looking forward to seeing you on those trips. Thanks,
Yes,
Chris. Thanks
absolutely.
for
That was an awesome first episode. I'm so excited to have Jim join us for our Pride Adventure podcast. If you want to see more information about CGA, I'm getting ready to go on a hike this morning, or Pride Adventure Travel, or any of our projects and projects that I'm working on, check out the links below. Also, make sure you subscribe so you see all our videos coming up, and make sure you visit our websites and check out all the events and adventures. If you're in California, join us at joincga.com. That's CaliforniaGayAdventures.com as well. And then also check out the trips that I'm planning for 2025 and 2026 at prideadventuretravel.com. We are sold out on many of our trips. However, we do have space in our Italy trip. We have a couple spots still for Ecuador in December. Italy's in September. We do have spots for a Central Mexico trip, which we're going to Oaxaca, we're going to Puebla, we're going to Mexico City, and we're going to be there during Dia de los Muertos. If you'd like to travel with us, jump in, join us. If you want to chat and just get to know me a little bit better and talk about the trips, give me a call. My phone number is 310-854-2556. You can also text me and we'll set up an appointment. We'll get together. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the next podcast.